Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All Season 365 podcast, sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and powered by NC Football Connections. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Coach Matt Morrow, founder of Charlotte Football Insider in Charlotte, North Carolina. Coach Morrow, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate the invitation, Coach, and I'm excited to talk to you this evening.
Well, hey, man, anytime we get a chance to link up, it's all love all the time. I appreciate all you do for, not just me as a coach, but all the kids across North Carolina. I know that your focus has been in Charlotte, but the bigger this thing goes, man, you're all over North Carolina, man. So kudos to you and your staff for really holding it down for high school football.
I appreciate those kind words, Coach. And to your point, working with not only Charlotte Football Insiders but Prep Redzone North Carolina is a blessing, and we really all try to do it for the kids, and that's our focus.
That's what it's all about, Coach. So with that being said, let's get to it. Tell us a little bit about how Charlotte Football Insider got started.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. We really got started in 2019, but previous to that, I worked for a group called Carolina Varsity. People that have been around North Carolina probably have heard that name before. And I started doing that back in 2012 and really just kind of focus on the Charlotte area, doing, similar to what we do now with CFI. But um, in 2019, I really kind of wanted to expand on, what I did outside of just kind of covering games. I wanted to get into, some things we'll talk about tonight, the recruiting aspect of things, and trying to showcase kids not only during the season, but, kind of like in a 365 way. So March 2019 started Charlotte Football Insiders, and our idea at the time was to continue on the really heavy focus of covering games in the season, but we wanted to build an opportunity to cover kids in the off season. And we sat down and I thought about it. I started talking to some people, and we came up with the idea to do showcases. And some people probably know that CFI, we do showcases throughout the year, 2 to 3 typically. And we really hyper focus on North and South Carolina kids and getting them seen in front of college coaches. And we started doing that in 2020. We continue to do that now. It's been a really successful venture. We've had over 100 kids come through the showcases that ended up going to play college football. Now, some of those kids were just especially talented. It didn't matter. They came to our showcase. They were going to go play anyway. But some of those kids got offered and, signed with schools and started their college careers because they came to a CFI showcase. So, that's something that we're really proud of. Um, and we hope to continue to do it, for the foreseeable future. So Charlotte Football Insiders, a lot of things about us we try to do for free or as a low cost as possible. There are some people that are in the high school football business that take advantage of kids and parents.
Absolutely. Yes.
And that's one of the main reasons why we exist. We want to give an option to those players and parents that can't afford, some of the so-called offerings that are out there. And we're going to make it affordable. And we want to make sure that it's not only a one-day partnership, for a showcase especially, it's an ongoing relationship, with players and parents. And you come to one, CFI showcase, you've got an advocate for the rest of your, football career. That's the way we want to look at it. That's what we promote. And that's our goal. And we're going to continue to offer that for as long as we can.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that because I still remember like it was yesterday. The COVID showcase.
Yeah.
I was out there and kids had masks on, but everything was very organized. Friday night, it was a big deal. Which I mean, I was very amazed by the level of execution, the organization, and then throughout the years, with no problems will always recommend sending kids your way because you guys do a good job, especially at the end. The part that I love most about it is that after the kids perform their drills, they get a chance to meet the coaches on the field and
Yeah.
have a conversation with the coaches on the field. And I, up until this point, I never seen it before. And because of that, you guys are definitely doing stuff for the right reasons.
Yeah, that's one of the main things that is really valuable, especially now in this transfer portal era. It's about relationships. And
Yes.
that's one of the things we tell the kids before we transition into that period is understand that you may not get an offer today, but
Yes.
we've seen several kids now, get offered, from the development of those relationships and those conversations of just talking with the college coach, getting an understanding of what they're looking for, an understanding of what, where you fit in that process,
Mm,
exchanging the contact information. And that's the main thing. Anytime we have a showcase, college coaches get a full database of all the information that players fill out at registration. And they keep that contact information and they go back to it and they use it. And that's what it's all about, man. And that's one of the things that I want to stress here tonight is, players and parents, if you see this, make sure that if you're going to a camp or a showcase, make sure that there's some type of tie-in with college coaches.
yes.
Because if it's not, then you're paying for something that if you want to play college football, if that's your goal, you're not paying for anything that's going to help you get you closer to that goal.
Right.
So just be smart with that. But if you come into a CFI showcase, there's going to be a tie-in with college coaches, and it's a direct tie-in. And coach, as you said, we've got plenty of receipts to this show.
Yeah. So many, man. So before we get on, I have a understanding of your journey up until this point, but our listeners maybe not the case. Before we continue on, give our listeners a quick snapshot of your journey up until this point.
Oh well, thank you, coach, for that opportunity. For me, my goodness, I played at Harding High School in the late '90s, and we were not very good.
But you still
um,
was there playing.
yeah, I was there. I got hurt my junior year, and it was an injury where the doctor said if I got hurt again in a similar way, then I would have, an issue for the rest of my life. So I
Mm,
played my senior year, and I made a decision not to play college football for that reason. I went right into coaching after I stopped playing, which is pretty unusual. You don't see that very often. So I started, of course, we called it a graduate assistant. I did that. And then I just worked my way up. I did all the grunt work, being a young kid, lining the field,
mm.
organizing equipment, doing all the admin stuff that, the other coaches didn't want to do.
Right.
But because I did that stuff, I earned my keep and I became
Yes.
assistant offensive line coach. Then I became the head O line coach. Then I became a JV offensive coordinator. Then I became a JV head coach. Then I became a varsity offensive coordinator and offensive line coach. Then I became an assistant head coach. So I did it the old school way.
Yes.
That's my background. I have a 9 to 5 professional career as well, and I started progressing in that alongside with progressing as a high school coach. And it got to the point where I had to make a decision,
Make a decision.
where either I was going to stick, and go try to be a head coach on the high school level, or I was going to stick with my 9 to 5. So I chose the 9 to 5 because coaches are vastly underpaid,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's crazy. So because I did that, I didn't want to lose my connection to the game, which is where I started working with Carolina Varsity, which led to CFI. So it's a whole full circle deal on how all this kind of came about. But that was my journey as far as getting involved with high school football.
Man, and we appreciate y'all that you do. And with that being said, man, you spend a lot of time on social media. You have a very strong social media presence. So my question is, how has social media changed the sports recruiting process for the high school athlete?
Oh, it's been incredible, man. The first thing is social media just kind of gave a chance for coaches to see so many kids at once,
So
to
many.
where now, if your profile is not set up a certain way on Twitter
Hmm.
or X, because
Hmm.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that's the platform that matters. You can
Correct.
have an
Yes.
Instagram page and a
Hmm.
Facebook page, and you might have your little TikTok where you have fun.
The
But
college coaches.
yeah, college coaches are on X or Twitter,
Yes,
and you
they
got to
are.
have your profile set up the right way so they'll notice you. Um, but it's really important because recruiting budgets, especially for D2, D3, NAIA, or JUCO, are very small or
Yeah.
non-existent even. So they rely on social media almost solely for their recruiting. They may get out to schools maybe once or twice a year
Yeah.
in the
Maybe.
open recruiting. Yeah, maybe in the open recruiting periods. And the ones that are getting out are going to be local. So you're talking about your North Carolina, South Carolina local schools that might be
Hmm.
able to get out. But if you want to go somewhere like Florida, they're not coming. If you're on that D2, D3 NAIA level. So you got to have a strong social media presence so you get noticed. And the main keys on that, in your profile, you need to have your height and your weight. You need
Yes.
to have your highlights linked. You need to
Yes.
have a video snippet of those highlights also pinned at the top of your Twitter or X profile. The reason for that is coaches are slammed with so
Yes.
many DMs, so many emails, and then the kids that they get assigned to look at by, their coaching staff. So to eliminate any time wasted, have those videos of your highlights right there on your profile so they can
Hmm.
click on your name and boom, it's right there. They don't even have to
Right
click the
there.
huddle link, because the secret is after a minute and a minute and a half, they're done watching. They're not going to watch 6 minutes of your
No.
highlight.
No way. No way. That's a
So,
lot.
and you make your highlight package, make sure your best plays are at the beginning of that highlight package. You want to wow those college
Yes.
coaches. Make them stay and watch, an extra 30 seconds to see what your strengths are. That's an essential. That's if you don't have that now and you want to play college football as
Yeah.
a varsity high school football player, you're already behind the game.
Already behind. Already
So
behind.
on top of that, 2 years ago we had an HBCU showcase here.
Yes, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, and we had a coaches clinic tied to it.
Hmm.
And all those HBCU coaches said, because our recruiting budgets are so small, we have to rely on social media to find the kids that we think are going to fit our programs.
Mm.
So they're telling you right there, hey, we are looking for you and you need to make yourself presentable. If you're not in that format that I just talked about on Twitter or X, reach out to me or reach out to Coach right here. He does a great job promoting his guys that come through his program, and get set up the right way, man. Because if you're not set up the right way for success on social media, it's not going to happen for you if you're in that D2, D3, NAIA level type of player.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. And I mean, at my school, I serve as the recruiting coordinator, but tied into that is a lot of the grunt work that people just don't see. And pushing kids out through social media is at the top of the list. And at the end of the day, like you said, the Power Five or the Power Four guys, they're gonna get noticed regardless. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but we
Yep.
work for the Division 2, Division 3 NAIA schools who don't have that budget. And at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, like you said, if the athlete doesn't even have their account set up. Well, like I know, college coaches, they'll shoot a DM real quick. And if
Yes.
you're not actively on
Yes.
Twitter, you're gonna miss that opportunity. So if you have a question about setting it up, reach out anytime, man. That's free game, you know. So with that being said, let's talk about the presence of the social media, the X account. So in your opinion, why is it important for high school students to have a positive social media presence?
I mean, it's a reflection of who you are.
Yes.
If you have crazy, stuff on your profile, and it can, be, whether it's, and trust me, you can have your own feelings and opinions about the politics in this world, or the
Yes.
music you listen to, or whatever it might be, but
Right.
keep that stuff off your athletic profile. Okay,
Yes.
if you want to have an Instagram page where you have your own crazy stuff going on, that's cool. But here's the thing:
Right.
if you wouldn't present it in front of your parents or your teachers, don't put it on your Twitter profile. All right, we know you're young men. Okay, we were all young men before.
Right.
We know what you go through and your likes and your dislikes and all that. But this is your livelihood if you want to play college football. If you're serious about that, keep all that crap off of there and keep it professional. It should be your highlights on there. It should be your accolades or awards that you win, your GPA, any academic stuff. If you play other sports, put that stuff on there. Of course, pictures from the game and stuff like that. If someone writes something about you, like if I write something about you on Prep Redzone
Mm,
North Carolina, definitely put that on there. But keep it professional. Supporting your teammates is always good to see. Retweeting their
yes.
stuff. Um, but that's the golden rule, because when college coaches are looking for you, and they are looking
Yes, they
hard,
are.
um, and they put your name in there and they see something crazy, they're just
Mm,
gonna cross you off the list. Okay,
next.
because I hate to say it, but there's one of 100 out here. Okay, and like we said, the top players, they may get the exceptions, but if you're on that D2 D3 level, which most high school football players are
Correct.
that want to play college
Yes.
football, don't do anything stupid to get yourself crossed off, man. All right, just keep it professional. It's a reflection of who you are, and you don't know who's retweeting that, who's seeing that. It could be somebody like me who's just looking you up, trying to do research on who to promote next.
Yes.
Media guys out here, 247 Sports, Prep Red Zone, all those guys are always looking for who's going to be the next big thing. So
Mm,
represent yourself the right way.
and it sounds to me like it's very important that athletes use their social media platform to create like a digital portfolio. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
digital portfolio
yeah.
resume. Because like you said, I mean, with so much NIL money flying around and endorsement
Mm,
opportunities flying around, a lot of these coaches are looking for a reason to not recruit you. So
yes.
it's very important that, like you said, be who you are, but celebrate your teammates, celebrate your school, push out the GPAs and just take care of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned something right there that we didn't even really hit on quite yet, but NIL.
Yes.
There are opportunities out here, but people want to see that you're going to represent yourself the right way before they try to go give you a whole bunch of money. If they see you posting crazy stuff and acting like a fool, who's going to trust you to promote their product? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. No, it's all good. No, no way, man. No way. No
Yeah.
way, man. So yeah, you definitely be careful with that. Let's segue to your showcases.
Okay.
So your CFI, you guys do a great job of hosting showcases, several showcases, to maximize athletes' exposure. What trends, good or bad, have you noticed in these showcases?
Yeah, well, we can start with the bad, and we've experienced this personally.
Mhm.
Because of the changes in college football, the transfer portal, primarily, we've seen less college coaches come out to our showcases.
Yes.
We had, and this is going back to our last winter showcase back in 2024.
Mhm.
We had maybe 25 college coaches come to that. The year before that, we had over 40.
Yes. Yes.
This year, we had 12.
Hmm.
So that's the bad thing, because now college coaches feel the pressure to win so
Yes.
much. They are taking more ready-made kids out of the portal rather than trying to bet their career
Yes.
on high school, seniors coming in as college freshmen ready to play college football. And they've told us that directly. And it's disappointing. It seems like the NCAA has made rules to, favor the transfer portal even more. There was a rule that just came out that Division II players now have
Yeah.
an extra year if they
Yep.
want it, which is going to, just take more college players on college rosters and limit more opportunities for high school players. So that's one negative from the showcases, but I will say one positive thing that's come out is, the exposure opportunity that players get that's unique. We try to share with the players and parents that, the showcase is a unique opportunity to do all of these things in a controlled setting that you just don't get to do, in normal, practice throughout the football season or in a game because college coaches want to see you explode and change direction
Yes.
and how do you compete against other players individually, and you don't always get that in a team setting, and
No,
college
you
coaches
don't.
aren't coming to your practices typically um in during the season or not or even in the spring. That doesn't happen that often. So it's a unique setting and you can get good film out of a showcase
Yes.
because you're doing all of these football related drills in one shot. What we do at our showcase is we do something called an agility circuit where
Mm.
you're going through 8 different drills
Oh wow.
in about 30 minutes, and all those drills show how you move, how you explode, how you change direction, and
Mm.
how you compete. College coaches want to see that stuff.
Yes.
So, one of the things that we really try to emphasize on is if you got a parent there, film your player going through all those drills and put it in a compilation package and
Mm.
then put that stuff on social media. And that's something that you'll have that other players that you're being recruited against don't have. And you're showing yourself in a unique setting that's
Mm.
competitive, that's organized, and you get to show yourself in a positive light. And that is something that I think is really valuable. And that's one of the good things to come out of a showcase. For our showcases, like we mentioned before, the opportunity to speak directly to college coaches is unique. You don't get that very often,
You don't.
especially if you're not being recruited. If you're a
Yeah.
player that's kind of under the radar and you're having trouble establishing relationships on social media, you send a bunch of DMs, you send a bunch of emails, and you're not getting a response. You come to a CFI showcase, you get a chance to speak to the
Yes.
coach right there because he's there.
I'm
So,
waiting for you, like
yeah,
right there in the middle of the field. And it can be intimidating for a young high school athlete, but I will say with confidence that trust me, the coaches are there to have a conversation with you. They're there to want to meet you and take some business cards with you too.
yeah, I'm glad you said that because one of the best things that we've seen in our showcases is there was a young man that had a QR code on a business card,
There you go.
and he gave that to the college coach. And when the coach scanned that QR code, it pulled up to his Twitter profile, it put up to his transcript,
Oh, wow.
which is major, and it's a
Yes.
major plus. And he had like a football resume that was on there as well.
Mm.
So that was very creative and very unique. And that young man ended up going to play college football at, I believe he's at NC State right now.
Mm. Congratulations. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the advantage of the CFI showcases. We want to get more college coaches out there, but we know the climate of college
Yes.
football right now. So we will continue to offer it. And we have some dedicated coaches that come to everyone because they've gotten good players from us. Most notably, Winston-Salem State has never missed a showcase. Johnson
They
C.
haven't
Smith has never missed a
never missed one.
showcase. And there's some others. Central is one of the ones that routinely comes. A lot of the in-state schools are very dedicated to what we do, and we really appreciate those relationships.
Those relationships are very, very huge. And since we did touch on the topic, right, NIL, I'm sorry. What are your thoughts about NIL in college football?
I'm glad that it exists because I think certain players obviously make a lot of money for their universities. So it's good for them to have an opportunity to get some funds, but NIL needs regulation.
It does.
It needs some regulation because there are some things that are going on out here that are just a little bit crazy, and it's more so from the college aspect. Um, the money that's being thrown out there for some of the top players, I think is really 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 interesting. And we know some of it, like for example, a young man going to play quarterback at Miami is getting paid $4 million for a year.
Wow.
And it's enticing kids to stay in college and play college football, which I mean it's good and bad. You know, it's not. I'll put it this way. If you think players are staying in college for the education now, that's that's not
Sadly
the case,
mistaken.
unfortunately. But there are some positives to NIL. I really like the players are able to get compensated, but we do need some basic rules and regulations behind it in order for it to continue to be a positive because just like anything else, at some point it'll be between the haves and the have-nots,
Yep.
and I don't think we want that for college football. We want to keep it fair. We want to keep it balanced. And I think the best way to probably go about that is institute some type of spending limits or salary cap
Mm,
for programs to make sure that we don't have a bunch of imbalances going forward. I think college football is better with parity, and we need to make sure that we institute the right controls to keep NIL a viable thing,
mm,
because it is about the kids, and we want to make sure kids have that opportunity going forward. And I think the way it's set up right now, it's very volatile, and it's not
very.
going to sustain the way it is.
Yeah, very, and I'll recommend. I had a chance to attend a few seminars in Orlando and in Charlotte. NIL was the topic of discussions, and I
Hmm.
will highly recommend that all high school student athletes, anyone who's interested in playing college football, take contract law,
Mm.
take contract. Here's why. So basically, what's starting to happen is that matter of fact, I think the first example I saw was the Duke quarterback, the new Duke quarterback. He signed for a 2-year deal. Well,
Hmm.
these NIL deals have been yearly deals. Well, he signed a multi-year deal. I'm like, okay, well, how is this thing even a thing? Well, what's starting to happen is some GMs are getting very creative. Hey, listen, they're not going to front load the contract. They'll backload the
Mm.
contract. That's one thing.
Mm.
But for two, there's buyout clauses. So if you choose to breach your contract, you have to pay back as much as 40% of your contract. Okay.
Wow.
Yes, that's what's
Wow.
starting to happen. So just listening to those seminars, when I left the seminar, I was scared. I was afraid for what our kids are going to be exposed to on the next level. So
Hmm.
educate,
Yeah. Yeah.
educate,
Absolutely.
educate. All right, man. Well, before I let you go, Coach, what advice do you have for high school student athletes or coaches about the recruiting process? What would you recommend?
Wow.
Any game.
that could be a whole nother show right there. Just to reiterate, have your social media, present, for sure. If you get a chance to meet a coach, be presentable. We tell our kids at the camp, when you go to speak to college coaches, it's like a job interview. Firm handshake, look them directly in the eye. Don't be afraid to ask questions because that shows that you're listening, actively listening.
Hmm.
Don't just sit there and say yes, 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 yes. Okay. um, the big thing, I would say from recruiting perspective, don't get discouraged.
Yes.
It depends on where you are as far as your class. Like right now, the class of 25, there are kids right now still picking up their first offers,
Yes.
because depending on the level of football you play, it's going to take a little longer, for the process to play out, especially because of transfer portal.
Yes.
That transfer portal window opens, in December and it
Mm-hmm.
closes. And then there's a whole bunch of fallout from that. And then after all that happens, colleges pick up the pieces and say, okay, well, let's find, some 25s. We got room on our roster. And, just be patient. Don't get discouraged. Don't post that, your dog and nobody's looking for me and, all that kind of negativity. Keep the negativity off social media. For coaches, promote your kids, man. There are some programs, like you, coach, you do a great job in promoting kids. But some programs don't promote their kids, man, and it's
Yeah, I see
sad.
that.
You know,
Yeah.
the support from high school coaches is essential, and a lot of college coaches look for that verification before they offer a kid, especially. So that's what I would say to high school coaches, and I want to throw in for parents.
Yes.
Parents, let your kid be a kid. There are some parents that get so wrapped up in the recruiting process, and they're saying that their son is a D1 player, D1, D1, D1. Don't have that D1 or bust mentality, man.
Mm.
We've seen in the transfer portal now, if you want to go there, the opportunity is there, but it may not start where you want it to start. But if you are a real player, you go out and you ball out at a D2, you ball out at a JUCO, you'll get your shot to go D1. All right. So any opportunity is a blessing. And I'll say that to all three entities. Any opportunity is a blessing to play college football. Treat it as such. If you get offered from North Carolina or you get offered from what's the small Mars Hill, treat it the same way. It's blessed to receive an offer from, whatever school. And then you tag the coach that offered you, tag your high school coach, and then tag whoever else you want to, tag on that and be proud of it,
Yes.
because those opportunities don't come, very often. Each offer is a blessing. So treat them all the same.
Nicely stated, Coach. Well, thank you for listening to the Offseason 365 podcast. If you like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and tell others about it. I'm Coach Simmons with Coach Morrow. We're signing off.